Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 29th of April 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then let's quickly jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is Ethereum. Now very quick update. So basically it managed to break below this upside support time. This was the last time I think we looked at it. So it broke this upside support line, traveled lower, broke some key support areas like the 168 level, then had a massive sell-off here, traveled lower. But the most important here is now that it's currently balancing and bouncing around its psychological 150 level. So basically that's where we're going to be looking for right now. We're going to be keeping a close eye on this 150 zone. If we see a further slide lower, that's great for the bears, because this could increase the chances for this one to travel a little bit lower here to 145. But to be honest, the 145 will be very interesting, because if this fails to withhold, this is in a way like the last resort for the bulls to step in. If this is going to fail to withhold, then we may see a further slide lower, at least towards the 130 zone, so approximately there, guys. So that was the low of the 25th of March, yep, of course we'll take it from there, see what it wants to do with that level, if of course it travels towards this area here. But to be honest, I mean, we could see further declines, but it's too early to talk about those. First, let's see what it wants to do with the 150 zone. If we see a nice good break below this, then yep, the 145 area, that's where we're going to be looking out for. But if that fails to withhold, now this is where it could turn out to be ugly for the Ethereum buyers. Of course, for now, judging from this picture, we are slightly more on the negative side, but then again, like I said, we are waiting for that confirmation break and a close, especially close below the 150 level. In terms of the upside, well, of course, this recent high that we had here on the 27th, which was Saturday, so this little high here, that's where we're going to be looking for. That's around the 158 zone. So basically, we need to see a nice good pop above this and a move above the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. This way, we could then target these previous levels around the 168, or even actually going further up here back towards the highs that we saw here around mid-April, around the 177 level. So in long story short, basically, guys, for the upside, that's what we're going to be looking out here for. The 158 level, that's what we need. We need to see a nice good move above this. But then again, also what you could keep a close eye on here, if we do see a push above the 158 zone, be very cautious around here, because we do have this little tentative downside resistance line that could in a way kind of put, you know, that stick in the wheel, so for the bulls, of course, and we could see maybe the price stalling around here. But again, from the very short-term perspective, the 158 level is for us. In order to, we need to see that break basically in order to consider higher levels. In terms of the downside, it's the 150 initially, but then probably for just some better confirmation, the 145 level, that's where we're going to be looking out for in order to kind of consider further declines. Jumping into an index here, which is the dollar index, and looking at this picture overall, of course, it continues to climb higher. You can see that since the beginning of January, this index, the dollar index, kind of was traveling higher with these huge swings here. So of course, now what we're seeing here is We did have another swing high here, another swing higher, but now it seems that it found its good resistance near the 98.33 zone. It tried to push on Friday, tried to push above that again, but kind of failed, and then sold off. So in a way, we could see maybe a bit of a down move here. The only thing is that from the very short-term perspective, in order for us to consider lower levels, we would like to see it initially a drop below the below this little area here, this area of support near the 97.85 zone, and also a break below the upside support line taken from the lows of the 17th of April. So this little tentative, in a way you can call it a tentative, or this tentative upside support line, this is what we're looking for, that better confirmation of the downside. We need to see that break here below this little area here, and then we'll consider lower areas like the 97.52 or even lower, but for now guys, it's stuck here. I'm not going to say that we're really bullish on this one, but nor we are bearish right now. So like again, for us to, let's say, turn a little bit bearish here on the downside, on the short-term from the short-term perspective, we need to see a break below this little area around here. In terms of the upside, as you probably understood now, we need to see that nice good push above this 98.33 level, and only then we'll consider higher levels. For now, it's stuck here, and let's continue observing the price action, and continue observing these key levels that I've just mentioned. Jumping into EURCHF. Now, I talked about this one last week, and basically we were still trading above this tentative upside support line taken from the low of the 2nd of April, and also we were trading above this this kind of slightly steeper upside support lines, very short-term upside support line taken from the lows of the 8th of April, and as you can see on Wednesday, the pair started selling off here, breaking this steep upside support line, but to be honest, it wasn't enough for the bears here. They kept pushing it lower and even pushed below this this tentative upside support line. Now I'm gonna keep that still on the chart, even though I do understand that we got it got violated here. The pair traveled much lower here, and it managed to reach this little area of support here near the 1.1350, approximately there, from which it kind of rebounded and now pushed higher. The only problem is that if we're going to consider this upside support line, then in that case the rate is currently knocking on the door of it from underneath here, so knocking on that like upside support line here, and also kind of stuck here slightly below the 1.1388 zone, to 1.1390 if you want to round it up. So that's where we're going to be keeping a close eye on, because as you can see, it's trying to push there, but the bears are kind of kicking in here and trying to fight back. Basically, long story short, guys, for us, in order to, let's say, to consider higher levels, we would need to see not only a push back above this upside support line, but also probably for better confirmation, we would like to see a push back above the 1.1423 area, approximately there, and then we could consider a further move higher towards the 114.70. Now I do have the 1.1444 here. That's kind of running here from the previous previous times here. Let's put it that way. This was taken from the high of February, basically the highest point of February. So you could keep an eye on that one as well. But again, if the acceleration is, if the rate acceleration is strong, we could see a revisit of this 1.1470 level. But then again, for now, the upside could be slightly off the table. Again, I'll repeat myself, we will only consider higher levels if we see a push above the 1.1423. Until then, even if it travels back above this upside support line, this is going to be our little neutral territory. But if this continues to hold, if the 1.1390 level continues to hold together with this upside support line from underneath, of course, then we may see another leg of selling here. The only thing is that probably for those who are more on the cautious side, you could in a way wait until we see a drop below the 1.1350. Then of course target the 1.1335 zone, approximately there, which also kind of almost coincides here with this 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. And then of course we could, if that fails to withhold, if we see a slide below the 200 EMA, then yep, 113.10 could be that nice potential target for this pair. But again, before we can consider lower areas, we will wait until we see a push below the 1.1350 zone. Let me just quickly put that on the chart for us here. And like I said, for the upside, we need to see a nice good move above this level right here. Let me just quickly put this on the chart. There we go. So that's the situation here. I do understand that for the upside, it's a bit of a long wait here, but to be honest, it's better to be safe than sorry. CADCHF. Now, this one's looking slightly more promising, let's put it that way, because it continues to trade above this upside support line taken from the low of the 28th of March. And of course, on one hand, you could say that yes, that's great, and so until we see a clear close below this upside support line, we will continue targeting higher levels. Of course, don't rush kind of into this yet. I mean, from the very short term perspective, if we start seeing a push above this little area here, above this little spike here that we had on Friday, and that was near, let me just quickly put that here on the chart, and that was near the 0.7588 zone. So if we do get a nice push above this, we will consider higher areas, but we will be very, very careful with this, because in a way, for us, let's say, to aim for much higher areas in the near term, we would like to see a push above these highs that we saw here last week. So basically the highest point of last week near the 0.7633 zone, something like that, approximately there. A nice good push above this could open the path towards higher levels. For now, this is where the pair is. It's currently still stuck below this little key area of resistance near the 0.7588. We'll wait for a pop above that, and then we'll consider these slightly higher levels. In terms of the downside, as you probably understand now, we need to see a nice good clear close below this upside support line, and in a way, because it is a bit of a choppy here, the choppy pair, we need to find a good potential target here for potential like support level, something like that. So 0.7543 zone approximately there could be that nice little area here, a break of which could open the path towards lower areas, and then we will target the 0.7483 zone, which acted as a good area of support here back on the 16th of April, around the 12th of April, and also the 9th of April. So in other words, a drop below the 0.7543 zone approximately there could open the path towards slightly lower areas. In terms of the upside, for those who are probably more on the riskier side, who like to take risks, you could keep an eye on the 0.7588. But to be honest, for those who are more on the cautious side, break above the 0.7633 would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could then aim for higher levels. For now, this is where the pair is. Keep your eyes on this upside support line, and let's see how this is going to play out further on. GBPUSD. Now, initially this morning it tried to push higher, but kind of failed around here. Didn't even reach the 1.2960 level that I had here, and is now trying to reverse back down. Still, this is our little neutral territory. We're not going to consider neither the upside nor the downside until we see a nice good break above this downside resistance line and the 1.2975 level. Only then we will consider higher a potential move higher, of course, initially targeting the 1.3020, then 1.3050, and the next potential very good area of resistance could be seen near the 1.3123. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need to see that nice good pop above this downside resistance line. In terms of the downside, the 1.2865, basically the lowest area of last week. This is what we need to see. We need to see a break below that before we could consider lower areas. So keep your eyes on this one, guys, right now. NZDUSD is having a great run, to be honest, and of course it did have I'm talking about a great run from the very short-term perspective. Let's put it that way, from Thursday last week. So The only thing is here is, of course, on one hand, it seems that it's trying to push kind of higher back up again. If we compare it to the, let's say, to the end of March, where it was at the end of March. So we since then, kind of the pair did slide a lot to the downside. It found good support near the 0.6580. Approximately there, maybe just a few pips lower, and then rebounded and pushed higher. So currently it's sitting near this little zone here, near the 0.6665. Of course, if this decides to drop lower, we'll be very cautious here, because in order for us, let's say, to consider much lower areas here, we would like to see a drop below the last week's lows. This way the pair would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and then we will target the 0.6535 zone, which kind of marks the it's marked near the lows here, so near the highs of the 11th of October and near the lows of the 17th of October. It's a bit of a tentative level here, but again, good potential kind of pit stop for the bears here. So, but only if we see a drop below last week's lows. In terms of right now, what's happening, what we're seeing right now, of course, this is looking more bullish. We may see something like this maybe happening as well. So where we could see maybe the pair curving up. So in a way, if we're going to try to find a good potential area of support here, it's really trying to guess here, of course, because it could in a way find support anywhere, and one of the levels could be seen maybe around the 0.6632 here. Something like this could be possible, where we could then rebound, the pair could rebound and push back up here. So that's why for us right now, we will take a more cautious approach here, and what we're going to do here is, let me just put this level here on the chart. So that's what we're going to be looking for. We will look for a break above the 0.6680 zone. This way the pair would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and then we will target 0.67 or even above that, the 200 EMA. For now, long story short, guys, we're going to continue observing this one, be very cautious with this one, and yep, keep our eyes on this this nice area of resistance here. Up, let me just quickly remove this. There we go. Too many arrows, let's put it that way. So yeah, basically that's the scenario for the upside. We need to see a nice good pop above the 0.6680 zone. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, that's USDJPY, still pushing higher. Be very careful with the yen pairs this week, because as you probably are aware, the Japanese market is closed, and they're having a really long holiday, so they should be resuming on the 7th of May. But during this period, I mean, at the moment, looking at the USDJPY, I mean, you can see that it's currently kind of stuck here below this upside support line. It was a tentative one, but now we can say that it's currently starting to range here a little bit. So that's why in terms of the upside, what we're gonna do here is, of course, we're gonna take a more conservative approach. We need to see that good pop above the 112.15 level, around there, guys, and then we could potentially maybe aim for higher levels. We would like to see the 4-hour candle closing above that level, because as you can see, last week we did have a few overshoots here, but the 4-hour candle never kind of closed above it. So that's why ideally we would prefer to have a nice good 4-hour candle closure here above this 112.15 level in order to kind of consider further acceleration to the upside. In terms of the downside, we're again also taking a slightly more conservative approach here. 111.40, that's what we're looking for. This way, if we see a drop below the 111.40, that's the very good area of support here, that acted out nicely last week. So it held the rate from kind of from closing below it. And also this 200 EMA, this is where this level is as well. So in a way, if we see a drop and a close below the 111.40, this would also mean that the pair would be placed now below this 200 EMA, and we could see further declines. So and by further declines I mean aiming for the 110.80 zone, this little area right here, which acted as a very good area of support back here on the 10th of April. So for now, continue observing this one, be very cautious with this one, and yep, let's see how this is going to play out. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and if you want to join me tomorrow morning at MetaTrader's Espresso, and that's 6 o'clock GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.